Yeah.
And then just I was really intrigued to maybe listen a little bit more around how maybe it could be integrated into mediation and facilitation kind of conversations. And that I think will come from, as you say, from learning more about your program.
Yeah, very cool. So I will just answer that mediation one quickly while it's at the top of my mind, because we were supposed to be running in-person masterclasses throughout this year all around the world, but they obviously got cancelled, well, postponed slash reorganized to virtual ones. Yeah, reimagined in a virtual world, which was great because I never imagined they'd be virtual, but they are now. And we ran the Sydney one, Brisbane one. And there's a woman in Brisbane. Whereabouts are you based, Monique? Are you
Auckland?
You sound Kiwi, yeah. So there's this really wonderful woman called Narita Talbot in Brisbane, and she works, I think, maybe in a government agency. It sounded like Queensland government, but maybe not. And she said she's been using the game in mediation recently. And instantly I was intrigued because I hadn't heard of that before. So I'm aware of and know a little bit about using the game when it comes to conflict resolution, mainly because one of the very first, or almost first, I think maybe second customers who ever bought the game when it was commercially available was a conflict resolution specialist. And she started using the game in conflict resolution when none of the other techniques she used worked. Because in her words, most conflict comes down to miscommunication.
Yeah.
And this game is a communication device, or it opens up lines of communication. And so I've been intrigued by that, and we're slowly building out tools for conflict. And then when Narita said she's been using it in mediation, my instant question was, oh, please tell me more. And she said that before mediation, they sit down and they get the cards out between the two parties, people, and say, how do you want to feel at the end of this mediation? And they pull the cards. Each of the parties, I think that was the word she used, I guess.
Yeah.
Each of the people in going through the mediation separately pull out cards and say, this is how I want to feel at the end, and this is how I want to feel at the end. And automatically that helps people open up, be vulnerable in a situation which is normally, I haven't been in one, but from what I gather and what I read now, is normally quite emotionally heated and charged. And
it can be.
Yeah, and it can be. And there potentially is some defensiveness that comes into the room just by nature of the mediation. And she said that it's helped create common ground at the start, even though you're not picking out, people might not pick out the same cards, but there's commonality in the room at the start because you're going through the same thing, which is then describing, okay, I want to feel this at the end and I don't want to feel this. And she said that's been really powerful. So I was like, that is very, very cool.
That is cool.
That. Yeah. I haven't done that personally. I don't work in that space, but Narita said she's been using it. And I thought, that's very cool. And she had another way she'd used it. She's really hacking the deck here. And she said she uses it in KPI conversations.
Oh, I wouldn't have thought about that.
Really simply to go, how do you feel about your KPIs and how you're tracking against them? And I thought the simplicity of that just completely blew me away again, because I thought, well, in the KPI conversations I've been in, the questions have generally been pretty free form, like how do you feel about the KPIs, how they're going, what would you change, why are you not getting there, etc. But once again, that's having a conversation at a cognitive functional level, rather than coming at it from the emotional level and going, how do you feel about your progress towards them? And so I guess I've given myself some KPIs, but not officially. If I was thinking about my KPIs and I go, okay, how am I feeling about them? And I might pull out joy, and that then becomes a narrative or a way to tell a story about what's happening from an emotional perspective rather than just a functional one. This is the cognitive side of what's happening. And I thought, that's cool. I love that.
I can see that getting expanded across a whole performance conversation, actually.
Yeah.
Even if you're having people that are a little bit challenged to meet their KPIs and things like that, it'd be a really good way to start thinking about what might be blocking them.
Oh, imagine that, right? Yeah, and that'll be such a great question, especially if people start picking out a lot of white cards. I'm not sure how she runs this. I haven't talked to her about it, but I've started playing around with some different ways on paper. And I'm almost thinking you wouldn't actually tell people to pick black or white cards. You would just say, take all of for those who are aware, there's black and white cards in here. I'm almost thinking you'd say, go through all the cards and just pick out the 10 cards that describe how you feel about your KPIs right now. And if somebody pulled out all 10 were white cards, which could be perceived as unpleasant, like I'm feeling paralyzed. And then naturally as a leader, we can become empathetic and curious and go, okay, why are you feeling paralyzed about your KPIs? And tell me more. Not why, but tell me more, I think is probably better question. So, the conversation takes on a completely different lens from the regular KPI conversation, in my mind. Yeah,
I agree. And thinking about what you're saying around the use and mediation, again, a lot of the conversations that you have at the beginning of a mediation session is around how people are feeling, because you really need to understand how to support them through the process. So I can see that being really helpful. So that's really cool. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we need to thank Narada. She's the one who came up with
thanks,
this.
Narada.